Welcome back to another Spirit Island video. In this video, I'm going to be covering PvP number 7. Now, received a lot of positive feedback from you guys in the comments, as well as the players on Discord, and I've created slash modified the existing rule set with the current rule set. Now, one of the most common criticisms from you guys is you guys wanted to see constant adversaries between both teams. And while I do agree that would create a more competitive environment, and honestly, that's something that I was pushing for, I can see the argument opposed to it, and that's kind of what a lot of players on the Discord had mentioned, and that they find that it takes away from the banning process, and it also makes the games less interesting. So what I decided to do is I let the 6 players vote, and 5 votes wanted to keep the ban process and the current adversary selection process the same. So we'll do that for PvP 7, and I'll give the players the choice in PvP 8 if I decide to host that. Well, now I have the modified rules up here, and I don't have all of the rules, just the ones that were changed. And the first is the events. One of the common criticisms of my previous rules was they felt events didn't have that large of an impact, and I kind of disagree. But I also wanted to make events be a little bit more impactful. Like I felt like they mattered a lot to where I had to plan around a ton of different effects. But I think some players wanted it to have a little bit more punch. So what I'm going to do is have some of the events rest or stay in the event pool for one extra turn instead of leaving at the end of the turn. So you'll have 10 events that come down. You'll pick one, and then the 9 will stay in the pool. Next turn, 10 more will come down. You'll now have 19 to pick from. And then the following turn, you'll have 10 more that will come down, but then the original 9 would end up leaving. And you'd end up doing that. So at max, I think the event pool will be between 19 and 20 on like turn 4 I have listed here and onwards. I think it could drop to 18, maybe. Not sure. But depending on how players end up picking. But we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. I've also decided to permanently ban only farmers and numinous. I know in the previous game I had banned hardworking, Years of Little Rain, and lesser spirits, but I decided to throw those back in since I've decided to change the event pool a little bit. Looking at the adversary pool, so I've lowered it down from 10 adversaries to 8, just to make it a little bit more, I shouldn't say fair, but there was, currently there's 8 adversaries. So when you have 8 combinations, you're able to use all of those adversaries at least once. Or actually, it would be at least twice, so you'd see each adversary. Now, when you have 10 adversaries, that means some adversaries would see more play than others. So there'd be a higher chance of getting those into the games, and some players didn't like that. So I think dropping down to 8 adversary combinations, I think, is pretty reasonable. I've also increased the difficulty to difficulty 12. I think everything else stayed the same. Spirit pool. So this is something that is completely different, and I will walk you guys through that in this video, because I'll be discussing the ban process as well, because all of the players have banned the adversaries and the spirits. The biggest thing with the spirit pool is I've created spirit groups, and the point of this is to prevent a single ban from banning out multiple spirit strategies for a spirit. An example would be lightning, where you have the pandemonium aspect. I can actually get it. Press the button here. Go. You have that that pandemonium aspect, which creates a fear-centric spirit. Then you have immense, which turns it into this major power spirit. And then you have, sparking, which turns it more into a support style spirit. So when a team would ban lightning, they would ban all of these versions of lightning. And I think that's kind of lame. So what I ended up doing is putting these into different spirit groups. And you could ban that specific spirit group, but it would still allow some of the other spirit groups to be available. And you'll see that with like lightning as an extreme example. Like a spirit like Shroud, I think the Shroud aspect is just an upgrade compared to base Shroud, so I put those two in the same group. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll show you guys the ban charts at the, I guess, halfway through this video when I discuss the ban process. But that's what I've done. I've been auto banned group green 1. That's going to include base green as well as regrowth green. That means group 2 green will have the Tingles aspect, and Tingles is fair game. I've also banned dances too. So some of the other things that this does is it means that the same spirit can be picked by both teams. If, for instance, Team Blue decides to grab Immense Lightning, but then Team Red decides to grab Pandemonium Lightning, both of those are in different groups, so that is now allowed. Now, the same team cannot have two of the same spirit but different aspects. So if I'm Team Red, I can't have Immense as well as Pandemonium because that would break Spirit Island rules. You can't do that. So that is the change to the spirit pool. I've also added 2 extra bans to the ban process that I'll discuss here. It's not shown here, but you have to imagine it is. You've got to squint. Let's see. Board selection, that's the same. Okay, we are ready for the ban process. So let's look at PvP 7 pool. These are all the adversaries. I have all of them listed twice. We have England 4, Prussia 4, Scotland 5, Scotland 4, Sweden 5, HLC 2, Russia 5, HME 4, France 4, Prussia 4, Scotland 4, Sweden 2, HLC 6, France 4, Russia 4, and England 5, and HME 3. Let me save these objects here real quick because I got to load in another thing. Oh, I already have a 111. Oh no, it's tragic. Let's see. Save objects. No, not that. Do 1, 2, 3. Let's pause this. Okay, we are back. So I'm doing this so I can kind of show you guys the different adversary combinations. I guess I will do that as we go through the ban process. So we're using the reverse ban process. So Team Blue gets the very first ban here. And they looked at all of these adversary combinations and they kind of rated them on what they felt was the priority and what they didn't. They were most terrified with Scotland 4, Sweden 5. So this is the first one that got banned. I'm not sure. So Scotland 4, it has the modified Scotland deck. And then it has Sweden 5, which makes just really deadly ravages. I mean, this is a tough combination for sure. But there's a lot of spirits that are available that could definitely handle something like this. I don't know. I think there might be tougher adversary combinations, but that was the first one that got banned. So I'm going to do, this is Team Blue that banned. Let me change to blue. So they ended up banning this one. And Team Red decided to counter. And they wanted to ban Russia 4. No. What did they ban? As I'm like scrolling through here. They ended up banning, so they get to ban 2 here. The red bans 2 adversaries, then blue bans 1, and then there's a red pick and then a blue pick. So red decided to ban both Habsburg livestock. So they are not a fan of any with playing the HLC 2 in Russia 5 or Sweden 2 HLC 6. So this HLC 2 in Russia 5, it's actually pretty painful just because of the Habsburg gatherers plus the Russia extra damage and the Russia bombs. There can just be tons of those loss conditions, and having the Habsburg Habsburg leading means you're going to be taking a lot of those town escalations. It's honestly really painful, so I don't blame them. This is one of them that I would probably ban. And then HLC 6 with Sweden 2. This is horrible. I don't know why I put this in. I gave this as an option for them, but what this combination does is HLC 6 is HLC 6, so it's Habsburg 6, but then you have Sweden 2, and you might be saying, okay, Sweden 2, that doesn't mean you don't have the extra damage, so you might be happy, but the problem is you have that Sweden 1, so if invaders deal at least 6 damage, they cause an extra blight, which means if you ever take a loss condition blight, so that means 8 damage or more from Habsburg livestock, and Sweden 2, that means it counts as 2 loss conditions. So you're really only allowed a single loss condition to go through, because if you take a second one, you lose the game. And yeah, I put that in there. I was curious to see if that would get through, and it got banned. So now we have to go back. The ball is in Blue's court. So now Blue is left with this set of adversaries. And this is where I don't know their choice to ban Scotland 4, Sweden 5. Like, I don't know if that's as bad as what you have here. I think like France 4, Russia 4, and England 5, HME 3 seem, in my opinion, to be the most challenging. So I think banning Scotland 4, Sweden 5 early, I don't know. I don't know how I feel. They ended up banning Prussia 4, Scotland 4. And that to me was very questionable. Now, Prussia 4, Scotland 4 is a very intense combination where you end up having, I think the deck is like 9 cards. You have 5 stage 3s, a coastal card. It's really intense, really fast pace. Usually goes the full game. Like the full 9 turns, or the full 8 turns. I forgot how many exactly. But it's really fun, and pretty much every spirit can play into it. Like I've played that combination 7, 8, 9 times a lot, so I know it's very possible to win. Not saying the rest aren't. It's just this is the one combination that I'd be most comfortable playing because it was the combination that I have played the most. But it got banned. So now we are in the pick territory. So what I'm going to do, so red is going to pick, so I'm going to outline the adversary picked for Team Blue. So Team Red decided, you know what? Games have been ending on turn 5, and people are saying that it's like a fear meta. What if we give them an England 5 game and see how fast can they win? So Team Blue will be playing against England 5, HME 3, and that was what Red picked. Now Team Blue decided to pick the adversary for Team Red and ended up going with, hey, if you give us England, we will give you England back. I don't know. I feel like France 4, Russia 4, I was really hoping that they would pick that one because I think that one is pretty devastating. But it seemed like Team Red is underestimating just how devastating that Invader deck is. They thought the France Rebellion would give them a lot of tempo, and yes, it does help. But unfortunately, Russia has that stage 3 here, and every time that stage 3 hits, just shit hits the fan. It's just complete chaos. I have a losing record against France 4, Russia 4 with my group. We've lost, I think we're 2-4 against the adversary, so it's definitely one that I would be most terrified to play out of all of these. Outside of the Habsburg Sweden one, I think that one's probably the most cancerous. But this is what we got with the bans. So Team Red and Team Blue, and now based off this information, they get to decide their spirit draft. Now, we're following this exact same spirit order, except there's an extra blue draft here and an extra red draft. I just added 2 extra right here. It's not shown here, but just imagine it is, because I'm not going to retype this out. Okay, so Team Red, what does Team Red want to do? You know, I probably should pull up the groups, so let me load those in. Okay, so I'm back and I've loaded in the groups. So this is what I was talking about a little bit earlier. Let me delete this here. Grab me nuts. Okay. So I have the groups loaded. And as you can see, I have the shadows broken up into these different groups. Same with River. Lightning, I have group 1, group 2, group 3. Thunder Speaker, we have green. I have it banned out. That's what this is saying. The different Earths. And as you can see, all of the aspects over here and grouped together. So I think the most notable changes is Serpent is split. I think Lure is split, Bringer, and Memory, Lightning, and River. I think these are the ones that are going to get the most value from being split like this. Okay, and don't judge me. I didn't get the pictures for the Horizons and the Nature Incarnate Spirits. This is just a real rough draft. We're just trying out this grouping system. So if this sticks, then I'll update this and make it look a little bit prettier. Okay, so Team Red gets the very first ban. And let me see what they banned. And let me lock those, get this all set. Okay, I think we're ready to begin this ban process. Looking at Team Red. Oh, yes, and I'm excited. They finally picked the spirit. I was worried because I'm in the middle of making this video. It's late at night, and I don't want to make the video tomorrow. I don't have time. And I was waiting on their last pick for Team Red, and it looks like they just locked it in. Or maybe it's Team Blue. Yeah, no, Team Blue just locked it in. Okay, so let's see. What is the first ban? So Team Red is no fun, and they decided, you know what? We're gonna ban the X tier. They took my tier list and they just started banning stuff on it. You know what? I don't blame them. Um, so fortunately, Fractured Days, you will not be seeing light of day here. So Fractured is the first ban, and I mean it's we saw Fractured in one PvP game, and it was pretty devastating to see what they were able to do or what Fractured was able to do. So I don't blame them. I think this is a good start of a ban. So yep, goodbye Fractured, and I believe up next is Team Blue. So Team Blue gets 2 bans. And Team Blue ended up going with. I'll pause the video and let you guys think. Ended up going with Ocean. And this is a very interesting pick. So remember, we know. Let me double check something. Sure, I got everything. Yeah, so this is Team Blue. Yeah, this is the hardest part about doing these videos is like keeping track of who's on which team. Like I know, like mixing the colors with the teams has just been somewhat difficult. So Team Blue is banning Ocean, and the second one I find very interesting, and that's Eyes. And I think they probably had PTSD after last game with how much damage Eyes did. I don't know why this is not coloring this. No, it doesn't. I don't know why it doesn't want to color here. Maybe if I start the game and see if it works then. If I bring guys up here, see if that works. Strange. Let me see one more thing. All right, I fixed it. So Eyes is banned. Actually learned something. Because I had these as double-sided, you can't draw on the backside, which I thought was pretty odd. But here it is. So Eyes is banned. Let me make sure. Interesting here too. And let me put my boxes here again. And we know Team Blue is going to be up against England 5 and HME 3. And we know Team Red is going to be up against England 4 and Prussia 4. Okay, so yeah, Team Red, I think banning Fractured is it's just a very safe ban unless you plan on getting it. And we know here Blue has the first pick, so banning Fractured makes a lot of sense. And then Team Blue counters with an Ocean ban as well as an Eyes ban. I don't know how I feel about both of them because that's basically stating that they think Ocean and Eyes are great into England 4, Prussia 4, because that's what Red is up against. And I could see the logic. I mean, they're definitely good against it. To me, like leaving Stone, leaving Starlight, leaving these high power spirits still on the table and banning these spirits, I don't know. It seems kind of questionable. And you want to know what? I'll actually, to make this look a little bit better, because I don't have the pictures, I'll make little X's here instead so that people can see. Go. Okay, let's see how Red responds. So Blue did 2 bans, so now Red gets 2 bans, and Red follows it up with a ban on Starlight and a ban. Should probably. Maybe if I just X them out instead. I wonder, does that look better? No, it's worse. They banned Starlight and they banned Many Minds. That PTSD from PvP 6 with Many Minds as well as Eyes just dominating the meta. And Red decided, nope, Blue, they do not want blue to have either spirit, and I think that's great. I mean, Many Minds is insane to that combination. And I mean, Starlight is just an amazing pick overall. So I think those are very solid bands. Let's see what blue picks in response. The blue now gets 2 bans. And blue ends up deciding to ban Mentor. So they decided to ban Group 2 here. And Volcano. And once again, that's 2 spirits into the England 4, Prussia 4. Volcano makes a lot of sense. Volcano is very high tempo. I'm not sure how I feel about Mentor, as Mentor is more of a combo spirit. Once again, I think banning some of the spirits like Stone or Downpour, like the powerhouse spirits like Keeper. I think Hearth Vigil is still available. Relentless Gaze. Oh, Dances actually should be auto banned. Cross that out. Actually, we'll go with black here. But like, you have a lot of spirits that are on my S tier, and they're kind of letting them through. So I'm curious to see how that is. I mean, I rate them high up for a reason. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. So we got the bans Mentor and Volcano. So now Team Red is going to. It's their turn to do some bans, and they. So we did the 2 blue bans. We now have a single team red ban, and red decides to go and ban Earth Vigil, which I think is another strong ban. Trying to have, because Earth Vigil's decent into England. Well, England 5 can be problematic for Earth Vigil, but HME, they tend to play well into extra ravages, so that's probably a solid ban there. And now, like I said, we have to envision there's an extra blue ban and an extra red ban. So Team Blue gets another ban, and Team Blue decides to go with a ban on Group 1 of River, banning Travel and Base River. I actually think this is a very strong ban by them. I think Travel River is very, very strong into this 4-4 combination. You could probably build a whole team around Travel River. Like, I think you could start with Travel and then build everything else. So I think this is probably the one ban that I love the most with what Blue did. Like, I mean, Blue banned some solid spirits, but this is the one that I think was their strongest ban. Looking at Team Red, I believe Travel River was never on their radar in the early game, I believe. But there's just so much text, I can't remember exactly. Okay, so there's one more ban left until our first picks, and that is for Team Red. And Team Red is going to be banning the almighty one, Stone. And with this ban, they don't want Blue getting it, and I think that's pretty reasonable. Letting Stone get through is pretty nuts. So Team Blue is going to pick their first spirits, and I think this is more like what is one of their favorite spirits, and that's why they picked it. I don't know how I feel about this pick at all. Like if I'm looking at these remaining adversary or these remaining spirits, the 2 spirits that stand out to me, if I'm playing against England 5, HME 3, would be Base Keeper. Like Keeper in general is just insane here. So Keeper would be my number 1 pick, followed by Relentless Gaze. These are the 2 spirits, and I think Downpour also works too. Not to say that there isn't other spirits that can't work, but these are the spirits that I would gravitate towards. Keeper being my number 1 spirit, like absolutely, like I think Keeper will eat this adversary combination alive, just because you hit turn 4, Keeper activates, and just the whole world blows up. But that wasn't picked. They do have a couple players that love playing the Hummingbird, and that's what we end up seeing here. We get the Hummingbird at a smaller circle. Actually, maybe I'll do square. The Hummingbird is Blue's first pick, and as someone who's not comfortable with the spirit, I would never do that. Also, England and HME tend to be the toughest matchups for the bird. The bird is also very high complexity. So that is, there's a lot of knocks, but there's a chance it might be insane if played right. And one of the things that I did find interesting is they end up banning, Team Blue bans Ocean, right? And they ban Volcano, and they pick Hummingbird. They pick Finder. So I mean, I don't know. I found that kind of odd, right? Because those are two combo pieces. Um, Red then looks, and they are paying attention to my tier list, I think, because they go and they grab Basekeeper here. So Basekeeper is picked. Now, Team Blue could grab Spreading Hostility if they so choose. So now we have back to Team Blue. So now Team Blue gets a ban here. And forget which one Team Blue bans at this point. They decide to ban Downpour, which I think is very smart. This is another one of those spirits that is quite devastating, and now that they have Keeper, it could be a combo enabler. So I really like that pick. Team Red gets the ban too at this point. And Team Red is going to go with Memory. So Memory is completely banned out of this game. And I guess they're trying to avoid like combos with Finder, cast down combos, and they also decide to go with a Bringer ban, Group 1. Once again, I think they're trying to stop like a Finder Bringer combo where you just generate a ton of fear. I don't know. I think it's I think there are other better bans than this, but that's what they went with. And Team Blue went with another, in my opinion, very good ban, and they went with banning Roots. I think Roots is quite powerful into this adversary composition. Pressure 4, England 4, I think it would eat this alive. It might be a little bit on the slower end. And their reasoning was to ban plant spirits because they already picked Keeper as a joke. But yeah, I think Towering Roots is a great pickup here, so I think that's a very good ban by Blue. And so what do we get? So we did, let me see. So we did 2 red bands, 2 blue bands, and oh no, we are not there. We had a blue band, 2 red bands, a blue band. So we are on the picks already. So red gets a pick, and they go with another great spirit. And this is what I mentioned earlier, Relentless Gaze. They go with the sun spirit. And let's go with the square again. I mean, this is a great pickup. Having a team of Relentless Gaze and Keeper into England 4, Prussia 4, gosh, that's going to be very, very strong. So excited to see that. And Team Blue, they went with something out of the box. I don't know how I feel with this pick. They ended up going with the Nourishing Earth here. And I don't know. I mean, I've never seen Nourishing Earth plus Finder. Maybe it works. I don't know. I've never done the combo ever. I know Nourishing Earth is solid into England 5 HME 3. It just might be on the slower end. And we know that these games have been ending fairly quickly. So let's see if it plays out for them. So looking at here, it looks like we have one more red band, a blue band, and then the final picks. And what picked here? We have the final ban from final ban here for Team Red, and that is Locust. I think that's a very interesting ban. And the final ban for Team Blue is to ban Base Serpent. Serpent gets completely banned out. I guess maybe there's this fear of HME and Prussia having extra ravages or fast ravages, and then Aegis being able to defend multiple lands. And the final red pick here is they go with Sparking Lightning, which I don't know how I feel. This is a spirit that I don't have much experience with. So I'm excited to see Keeper plus Gaze and Sparking. I know Keeper and Gaze are solid. Sparking is just going to be a great addition, great support spirits. I think any spirit that they pick with these two guys will do well into this combination. It's just, is it enough synergy? And finally, the last blue spirit picked And this is what I was waiting for while making this video. They end up going with Wandering Voice. Another spirit that I don't know. I don't see the composition, and I don't know why they picked voice. I think maybe it's because the crazy amount of fear, being able to ignore the England 5, just destroying buildings outright. Yeah, and it also disrupts HME3. Yeah, maybe it is voice. Actually, yeah, I don't know. This kind of sounds like a very cool combination, right? Voice, lots of fear. Nourishing is a solid defensive spirit, not going to blight. And then you have Finder, can move stuff around. Yeah, it should be very cool. So, just to recap here, we have Team Red going up against England 4, Prussia 4, with Sparking Lightning, Base Keeper, and Relentless Gaze. Team Blue will be going against England 5, HME 3. They have Finder, they have Wandering Voice, and they have Nourishing Earth. And I will begin with the turn 1 in a couple days. Hopefully you guys liked this video. If you enjoyed me going through the ban process, please let me know. If there's some things you would like me to change, or just some advice when talking through this, also leave that in the comments. If you like this video, like, subscribe for more content. I'll see you guys in the next video.